Weekly newsletter.
Welcome to Magnificat.tv news, dedicated to the news of the church. Today is Wednesday, February 14th, 2018. The Vatican, through Cardinal Farrell, has rejected the possibility of a Congress taking place in its territory in which some of the speakers were clearly pro-abortion. Cardinal Marx, the president of the German bishops, is in favor of blessing some of the same-sex couples in the church. Among others, Archbishop Chaput and Cardinal Cordes have refuted him. Monsignor Sanchez Sorondo has declared that China is where the social doctrine of the church is best practiced. Spain is continuing to lose Catholics at an alarming rate, 1.3% per year. And the number of Catholics regularly attending church is also dwindling. The British territory of Bermuda has become the first in the world to reverse its endorsement of same-sex marriage. Cardinal Farrell, the prefect of the Dicastery of Laity, Family, and Life, has prevented a Congress taking place in the Vatican with presenters who are in favor of abortion.
The Holy See has vetoed the participation of the former President of Ireland, Mary McAleese, in a conference to commemorate International Women's Day, which was originally to be held in the Vatican. The Society of Jesus has agreed to cede its facilities in Rome.
Cardinal Farrell, prefect of the Dicastery of the Laity, Family, and Life, received a list of speakers who were going to take part in the 4th Annual Conference of Voices of the Faith in the Vatican. The Cardinal returned the list, indicating who could not participate, and among the people identified was the former President of Ireland.
McAleese rejects the teachings of the Church on homosexual relationships and advocates accepting the ordination of women as priestesses. Another of those rejected by the Cardinal is Senfuka Juanita Wari, a lesbian activist who promotes the LGBTI agenda in Uganda and calls herself Catholic.
There has been a crossing of statements between bishops and the possibility of blessing same-sex unions in the church. Cardinal Marx, the president of the German bishops, has been in favor of it, while Archbishop Chaput and Cardinal Cordes are against it.
The statements of Cardinal Marx, maintaining that there are no general rules to regulate blessings of same-sex couples and opening the door to examine them on a case-by-case basis, have met with a response from other bishops.
Regarding this issue, Archbishop Chaput, Archbishop of Philadelphia, has expressed, over the past few weeks, a number of senior voices in the leadership of the Church in Germany have suggested or strongly implied support for the institution of a Catholic blessing rite for same-sex couples who are civilly married or seeking civil marriage.
On the surface, Chaput continued, the idea may sound generous and reasonable, but the imprudence of such public statements is, and should be, the cause of serious concern. It requires a response because what happens in one local reality of the global church inevitably resonates elsewhere, including here.
In the case at hand, any such blessing rite would cooperate in a morally forbidden act, no matter how sincere the persons seeking the blessing. Such a rite would undermine the Catholic witness on the nature of marriage and the family. It would confuse and mislead the faithful, and it would wound the unity of our Church, because it could not be ignored or met with silence.
For his part, Cardinal Cordes, former president of the Pontifical Council Cor Unum, has written a commentary on the Austrian Catholic portal cath.net. The initiative of Cardinal Marx ignores the clear revelation of God, he says, and he calls the idea of blessing same-sex couples terrifyingly naive and even sacrilegious.
Monsignor Sanchez Sorondo, the Chancellor of the Pontifical Academy of Social Sciences, after a trip to China, has commended the government and has declared that this is where the social doctrine of the Church is best practiced.
The Chinese, the prelate stated, seek the common good. They subordinate things to the common good. I found an extraordinary China. What people don't know is that China's main principle is work, work, work. Essentially, it is as St. Paul said, the one who does not work, neither should he eat. They don't have slums. They don't have drugs. There is a positive national conscience. They want to show that they have changed. They now accept private property.
For Monsignor Sanchez Serrando, Beijing is defending the dignity of the person, following, more than other countries, Pope Francis' encyclical Laudato Si on the care of the common home, positioning itself among the most active proponent of the United Nations agreement to limit the emission of gases that cause global warming, in that they are assuming a moral leadership that others have abandoned.
The economy does not dominate politics as happens in the United States. How is it possible that the multinational oil companies control Trump when we know that that is doing harm to the earth? Liberal thought has liquidated the concept of the common good. They don't even want to take it into account, claiming that it is an empty idea without any interest. On the other hand, the Chinese don't. They propose work and the common good, he stated.
The Catholic Church in Spain is continuing to lose a lot of its faithful followers. In just the last year, according to a latest study, it's lost 1.3%.
The number of Spaniards who consider themselves Catholic continues to fall. According to the latest CIS barometer, 68.5% of those who were polled declare themselves to be Catholic, only 14.4% practicing, which is 1.3% less than last year. The number of non-believers and atheists increases by that same percentage.
59% of believers asked by the CIS hardly ever attend Mass or other religious services, without counting social ceremonies. Likewise, 14.1% of believers acknowledge that they attend Mass almost every Sunday and Holy Day, while 2.2% do so several times a week.
26.4% of the population describe themselves as non-believers or atheists, 1.2% more than a year ago, which causes a correspondence between the loss of Catholics, negative 1.3%, and the increase of non-believers and atheists. Lastly, 2.6% of Spaniards declare themselves to be believers of another denomination.
In what can be considered an event that is historical, for the first time ever, a country, this time the British territory of Bermuda, has reversed its approval of same-sex marriage.
The governor of Bermuda, John Rankin, has enacted a law through which the celebration of same-sex marriages will no longer be allowed on the archipelago or on ships flying its flag, thus becoming the first territory in the world to reverse this legislation.
Rankin has signed the Domestic Partnership Act, which replaces same-sex marriage, allowing since May 5, 2017, by a ruling of the Supreme Court of Bermuda, British Overseas Territory.
The new law, passed by the Senate of Bermuda in December 2017, recognizes unions between people of the same sex, but they will not be able to marry. However, it grants rights such as the right to inherit in the event that there is no prior will and to make medical decisions on behalf of the partner. Same-sex marriages already conducted will remain valid.
Brown, Minister of Home Affairs, has indicated that the majority of Bermuda's citizens oppose same-sex marriages. This act is intended to strike a fair balance by restating that marriage must be between a male and a female, while at the same time recognizing and protecting the rights of same-sex couples, he said.
Our editorial this week is dedicated to the news that has occurred and the alarms it has risen in many sectors.
Hay un viejo refrán que dice, cuando quieras matar a tu perro, di que está rabioso. Esto es algo que han entendido siempre muy bien los estados, las naciones. Cuando querían hacer una guerra contra un vecino, porque les interesaba, buscaban un casus belli, es decir, una justificación. Si la encontraban bien y si no, la creaban. Decían que el perro estaba rabioso y no tenía más remedio que ir a la guerra. Tengo la impresión de que algo parecido puede estar pasando en la Iglesia. Esta semana, por ejemplo, han ocurrido tantas cosas, tan disparatadas y tan seguidas, que me da la sensación de que esto no es normal y que hay algo detrás y no es una teoría de la conspiración. Da la sensación de que alguno tiene muchísima prisa, y de que esa prisa se debe a que consideran que se les termina el tiempo o a que quieren provocar el casus belli, el enfado de los otros para que se vayan. Por ejemplo, en esta semana, no es normal que en una semana, repito, hayan ocurrido tantas cosas. En esta semana, Alemania. Los obispos alemanes han decidido saltarse la prohibición que les impuso el Vaticano hace años para que no pudieran dar certificados en determinados centros que tiene la Iglesia alemana que sirvieran para ir al aborto. El Vaticano les dijo, esto no podéis hacerlo porque con estos certificados esas señoras pueden ir a abortar legalmente. Además, la misma semana, Alemania, el presidente de la Conferencia Episcopal, el cardenal Marx, ha dicho que, al menos en determinados casos, que habrá que verlo, se podrán dar bendiciones en las iglesias a las parejas homosexuales. Alemania. Bueno, uno de los hombres más próximos al Santo Padre, al Papa Francisco, el argentino Sánchez Sorondo, Monseñor Sánchez Sorondo, ha declarado también esta semana que China, donde ha estado hace un mes, que China es el modelo de la aplicación de la doctrina social de la Iglesia. Sorpresa para el mundo. Nadie podía imaginar esto. Justo cuando en la misma semana el cardenal Zen, que es arzobispo emérito de Hong Kong, decía y denunciaba la represión creciente del gobierno chino sobre los creyentes en general y los católicos en particular. Esta semana hemos sabido, por ejemplo, que solo en el mes de diciembre pasaron por la frontera entre Venezuela y Colombia, de la ciudad de Cúcuta, solo por esa frontera pasaron 1 millón de refugiados. Silencio total sobre esto. Silencio. No se habla nada. No hay un comunicado del Vaticano, no hay una toma de posición fuerte para denunciar una dictadura que está provocando esto. Repito, en un mes, 1 millón solo por una de las fronteras. Es una situación trágica, es un éxodo masivo. Silencio sobre ello. No es normal. Y no es normal, por ejemplo, que en la web de la Pontificia Academia para la Vida se haya publicado un artículo donde se dice que en determinadas circunstancias también se puede hacer uso de la píldora anticonceptiva. La misma semana en que se publica también otro artículo de un numeroso grupo de católicos procedentes del Islam, convertidos desde el Islam, donde denuncian muy duramente la situación de abandono en que ellos se encuentran, o por lo menos en que ellos se sienten. Demasiadas cosas en una semana. Da la sensación de que alguien tiene prisa. Repito, quizá porque piensa que se les acaba el tiempo. A lo mejor alguien tiene datos sobre esto, yo desde luego no los tengo. O bien porque están provocando un casus belli, están provocando que ese sector, que podríamos definir fieles a la palabra de Dios y a la tradición, se molesten, se enfaden y se vayan. Bueno, cuando se estaba elaborando, trabajando en los sínodos que después dieron lugar al Amoris Laetitia, se habló mucho de la posibilidad de un cisma si se daba la comunión a los divorciados vueltos a casar. Después la Amoris Laetitia planteó una solución ambigua que podía interpretarse en un sentido o en otro, una hermenéutica de continuidad o en una hermenéutica de ruptura con la tradición anterior, ambigüedad que está todavía sin resolver. Pero es que después han venido muchísimas cosas, como por ejemplo estas de esta semana. Es decir, aquí pasa algo. Yo no sé si alguien tiene datos o qué, pero esto no es normal. No sé si se puede decir aquello de que algo huele mal en Dinamarca, citando a Shakespeare, pero esto no es normal. Aquí está pasando algo y está pasando algo raro. Da la sensación de que esta aceleración es porque o bien el que lleva el automóvil ha perdido el control, o bien porque alguien tiene interés en que el automóvil se salga de la carretera y se produzca un choque. Es decir, se produzca un cisma. Ante esta situación, creo que es muy importante mantener la calma y rezar. El cisma es una muy mala solución. Entre otras cosas, porque a lo mejor es lo que están buscando esos que están molestando tanto al fiel perro guardián, para que el perro se enfade y poder decir que está rabioso. Hasta la semana que viene, si Dios quiere.
If you would like to keep up with the news of the church, feel free to visit our news webpage at catholicosonline.org. Until next week, God willing.